In 7.4, we're going to multiply binomials this time. When we multiply binomials, we are still using the distributive property, but we have to distribute both terms in the binomial, but both terms in the other binomial. Okay, so I'm going to distribute each term in the first factor by the second factor. Then I'm going to combine the like terms where appropriate. So I have x plus 2 times x plus 7. They're in parentheses, and they're touching each other, so they are being multiplied. So when I multiply them, I'm going to look at the first binomial. The first term I see is an x. So I'm going to take the x and I'm going to distribute the x to the second parentheses, to both terms in the second parentheses. If I do x times x, that's x to the second. X times 7 is 7x. Okay, so I distribute x times x plus 7. Okay, now I'm going to look at the first binomial again. Okay, I distributed the x. I also have this plus 2 here. So now I'm going to take the positive 2 and distribute that to the second binomial. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, so I end up with 4 terms, and that will always be true. I'm going to combine my like terms and try to put it in standard form. So the x squared has no like terms, so I'll leave that the same. I see I have a 7x plus a 2x, which gives me a positive 9x. And then the positive 14 also has no like terms. So this is my final answer. When I do x plus 2 times x plus 7, I get x squared plus 9x plus 14. And of course, you'll show me the middle step always. Okay, for b, I'm going to do the same thing. I just added different coefficients. So I'm doing 2x plus 3 times 4x plus 1. So I'm going to start off and look at the first binomial. The first term is a 2x, so I'm going to distribute the 2x to the second parentheses. 2x times 4x, 2 times 4 is 8. X times x is x to the second. 2x times 1 is 2x. Okay, I finished distributing the 2x. Now I need to distribute the other term. So 2x plus 3. So now I need to do 3 times the 4x and 3 times the 1. 3 times 4 is 12x. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, and because I'm multiplying 2 terms by 2 terms, I always end up with 4 terms. Okay, so again, I see the 8x to the second has no like terms. I have 2x plus 12x, so I have 14x's. And then the plus 3 will stay as the third term. That's my final answer. It's in standard form, and I showed my work along the way. Okay, now I'm just going to add some negatives and things like that along the way. So for C, it's 5x plus 3 times x minus 11. So I'm going to start with the first term, which is 5x, and distribute it to the second parentheses. 5x times x is 5x to the second. 5x times 11 is 55x minus 55x. Okay, now I'm going to take the plus 3 and distribute that to the second binomial. So positive 3x minus 33. And I did end up with 4 terms again, and I expect to have 4 terms whenever I'm doing a binomial by a binomial. So I'm going to bring down the 5x to the second. If I do negative 55 plus 3, that's going to end up with a negative. Since they're opposite signs, I subtract. So 52x, and then the minus 33 is going to stay at the end. It's called the constant term. Okay, so for D, x plus 5 times x minus 4. So I'm going to start with the first term in the first binomial and distribute that to the second one. X times x is x to the second. X times minus 4 is minus 4x. Now I'm going to check for the next term. Now I have a positive 5, so 5 times x, 5 times 4. Positive 5x minus 5 times 4, 20. Okay, I'm going to bring down the x to the second. Okay, like terms, I have a negative 4 plus 5. It's a little bit more positive, so it's going to keep it positive. 5 minus 4 is 1x, or you could just write x. The 1 is not required. We assume it's a 1 if you leave it blank. And I'll bring down the minus 20, and that's my final answer. Okay, for these next ones, I'm just putting a negative on the first one. I'm just playing with the negatives to make sure you have examples of each different scenario. So for E, 2n minus 7 times n minus 3. So the first term in the binomial is the 2n. So I'm going to distribute the 2n to both terms in the other binomial. 2n times n is 2n to the second. 2n times 3, 2 times 3, 6, so 6n. And then I have the minus 7, so minus 7n minus 7 times 3, minus 21. 2n to the second. 6n minus 7n, that's a little bit more negative. And if I subtract, I get negative 1n, or I could just write negative n minus 21. Okay, for f, m minus 10 times m plus 7. Let me start with the m. M times m is m to the second. M times plus 7 is positive 7m. Okay, then I have this minus 10, so minus 10m. And then minus 10 times 7, minus 70. Okay, 7 minus 10 is going to be a negative, and then when I subtract, I get negative 3m. And I'll bring down the negative 70. Okay, 2 more. I just put negatives on both of them to make sure we can get our signs right. But the process is always going to be the same on these. Okay, so I'll start with the m. M times m, m to the second. M times minus 5 is minus 5m. This is a minus 6, so minus 6m. Minus 6, but there's already a minus here, so it cancels to a plus. 6 times 5 is 30. M to the second. Minus 5, minus 6, that's a lot of minuses, so that's going to stay minus. Since they're both minuses, I add them up, so I'm actually minus 11m's. And the plus 30 comes down. Okay, last one. 9x minus 1 times 9x minus 1. Let me start with the 9x. 9 times 9 is 81. X times x is x to the second. 9x times minus 1 is negative 9x. Okay, now I have a negative 1 times 9, negative 9x. Negative 1 times, there's already a minus here, so I'm going to change it to a plus. 1 times 1 is 1. 81x to the second. Then I have minus 9 minus 9. Since they're both negatives, this is going to be even more negative. So minus 9 is minus, add them up, 18x's. Okay, and then plus 1.